Thanks. And you then look into it a bit more and you realize, actually, what I didn't see was all the times the drones didn't get through. And that was because that one maybe $300, $400, but it can't fly in rain. It can't fly in wind. It only got through because it had a full map of the electromagnetic spectrum in the area handed over by Western allies to Ukraine. There was a repeater drone flying in the air. There was a squad protecting the drone unit near the front lines, and it had a 6-kilometer range, so it wouldn't have got very far. And then I realized it's not that the drone's not useful or capable. It isn't that we don't have lessons in that. It's that you've just got to be mindful of all the things you're not seeing. And I absolutely try and bear that in mind when I look at the cyber lessons of Ukraine. So with that caveat in mind, or that sort of arse covering in mind, perhaps.
Very powerful caveat.
I will say that I think for me, what I have seen is a very intense Russian campaign. It's been a campaign that is more probably adaptive over time than I initially thought it was. And I see that in some of the reporting out of Mandiant and other companies where they've described techniques and approaches. I still see pretty poor coordination between the Russian military and Russian cyber units. I know we've seen some parallel attacks on infrastructure where, missile attacks and cyber activity were coordinated. But institutionally, I haven't seen great signs of fantastic combined arms warfare involving cyber and physical. But I think the biggest lesson to me, and there are many others we could discuss, is that I think this is a proof of concept, which is that it shows even against a really quite sophisticated adversary, which has been surveilling and sort of doing reconnaissance on the Ukrainian digital landscape for a decade, and indeed has a direct record of physical subversion against Ukraine's power grid almost 10 years ago. Now, the real question is, under what circumstances does that defense prevail? And I always try and point out to readers that actually this is a joint effort in which it's not just GCHQ and the NSA and others hunting forward on Ukrainian networks. It's also a number of Western companies doing this. It's all the cloud companies providing backup servers for Ukraine. And I sometimes ask myself, if we had to do this at scale against a Chinese campaign in the event of a war over Taiwan, would we be able to scale this approach to a number of countries